Hello, and thank you for joining us on ATV Special Broadcast. I am Nicole Roz. On January 31st, AU College Democrats hosted Maryland Attorney General Doug Gansler, who has been in office since 2006. He has been working to eliminate crime, clean up the environment, create clean energy, and implement same-sex marriage rights in his state. Gansler will take on being the president of the National Association of Attorneys General this June. I had the pleasure of speaking with Doug Gansler after his speech.
You know, 10 years ago, people would think that there's no way in the world. It's like, you know, they're walking around on Mars or something. There's no way same-sex couples are getting married in this country. 10 years from now, they're going to look back at some sort of, as if it were some sort of a quaint debate. You know, that was weird. Remember, they didn't let same-sex couples get married.
What makes this such a personal issue for you?
Well, I'm the chief law enforcement officer and the chief lawyer of the state, and when you, as such, when you see something that's clearly wrong, and that people are denied fundamental rights and they can't fight for themselves, it seems to me that's my job, to stand up for people who can't fight for themselves and are clearly being denied equal protection under the law, to defend them and to fight for them. So that's why I'm involved in it. And I've been involved in it for a number of years now, been testifying in Annapolis, trying to get movement on the recognition of same-sex couples here, and then I guess most of the impact we had was writing an opinion in early 2010 recognizing out-of-state same-sex marriages. So those states that do allow same-sex couples to get married, for our state to recognize those valid contracts.
Now, I know recently in, I think, 2010, Senate passed the Same-Sex Marriage Act for 25 to 22, but it did not pass the House. But I know the General Assembly is back in session this year. Do you think it'll pass the House this year?
It looks like it will. No one knows for sure. The hearing date has not been set, and I think there's a lot of pressure being put on some of the people to do the right thing and let the whole, they want to pass out of the committee first and then have the whole House really debate the issue. I think that there's been a lot more information out there. I think there's a lot bigger push to do it, because I think there's a feeling that if it does pass the House and the Senate and the governor signs the bill, that it'll go to referendum, and then all the people in Maryland will have an opportunity to weigh in on this issue and vote on it in the 2012 election in November.
Now, do you think that same-sex marriage should continue to be decided state by state?
Well, it's going to be decided state by state for a while, unless and until the Supreme Court takes up the case from California or another case and definitively resolves that, indeed, denying people their fundamental right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is wrong and violates the Constitution. At that point, once the Supreme Court overturns DOMA and overturns the Defense of Marriage Act and says that, in fact, denying people their rights is wrong, then it'll be countrywide, then it'll be federal. But for now, I think it's going to be a state-to-state deal. And we're currently up to 6 states, plus the District of Columbia, which allows same-sex couples to get married. Our state allows people in Maryland who are married in other states to live here and be recognized as such. So I do think it's a historical inevitability. I mean, 10 years from now, every state will have it. 10 years ago, people couldn't imagine the idea of having same-sex couples. But we're right in that crosshairs right now.
On a financial note, I know you were very supportive of Richard Cordray leading the Financial Protection Bureau. What do you hope he will achieve?
Well, I think the whole setting up of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is important, because while Wall Street was managing Main Street, nobody was looking after Wall Street. And that's really led to the foreclosure crisis, which ultimately led to the economic downturn of the country. Now the attorneys general are collectively, as 50 AG's offices, looking at resolving this with the big banks. So there was a need for the Bureau itself, and Congress supported and passed the Bureau. Then you've got the most qualified person you can imagine to run the Bureau, a person that was the state treasurer of Ohio, the Attorney General of Ohio, the University of Chicago law guy, clerk to the Supreme Court. His most impressive credential is that he won Jeopardy 5 straight times. And they kicked him off because at that time he could only win for 5 times in a row. So here's a really bright guy. So I think he's the right guy to lead this new agency, and I think it's important to have somebody making sure that Wall Street isn't all about making rich people richer by moving money around, but to actually follow the law.
All right, and one last question about a gas tax I've heard Maryland is thinking about implementing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't support the tax increases that we have in Maryland. I try and stay out of those issues, but there's a big deficit in Maryland, a structural deficit with the budget. They're about $1 billion short. So what they're doing now is looking at any ways of raising revenues, but also cutting services. The gas tax is attractive to some people because they think it'll create a disincentive for people to drive. That may be, but you have to have the alternative of public transportation available to more and more people as an alternative to driving their cars. So, and also we're trying to push new innovation, electric cars and that kind of thing. So I mean, I think that there clearly is going to be a gas tax. The question is, how high is it going to be?